In a world of ever-expanding technology, gaming consoles have been at the forefront of human innovation and technological advancement. Whether you grew up with an N64, an Xbox 360, or even a Wii U, the excitement of owning a gaming console has never failed in producing excitement and joy. But what if I told you of a gaming console that did not create long-lasting memories and joy? What if I told you of a console that some might say sucks ass? What if I told you of the Soulja game, a console shrouded in controversy as well as disappointment?
Ricky Morty. Ricky Morty.
Now, if you know music, it's hard not to acknowledge the existence of Soulja Boy. Tracks such as Crank That Soulja Boy as well as Turn My Swag On have pushed the boundaries of creativity, but alongside an undeniable talent of spawning masterpieces via putting the pen to the paper. Soulja Boy is a businessman with business moves, but it's his decision into expanding to the wide world, the vast frontier, the great swamp of gaming that we will be studying today. Having been interested in video games since he was a young chap, Soulja Boy in late 2018 shifted his entrepreneurial vision into one aligned with creating new technologies. Now, this wasn't the first time Mr. Soulja Boy has dabbled into the fine arts of gaming. He at least had some passion into mastering this discipline, as well as wanting to succeed into making his own video game console. Enter the Soulja game console. Well, there's two. There's the Soulja game console and the Soulja game handheld. After a streamline of hype on social media, the Soulja game lineup broke onto the scene, bolstering a sleek but retro design, controllers that felt good, and for the first time in human history, a console at launch supporting hundreds and thousands of titles. Gamers all over the world were salivating at what appeared to be a new age in gaming brought forth by the Soulja game. And on December 5th, 2018, Soulja Boy released the consoles via his Twitter. A console compatible with older TVs, coming with DualShock-esque inspired controllers, and did I mention hundreds and thousands and millions of built-in games that Soulja Boy claims were licensed by AAA developers at launch? Nintendo games from various generations, Sega games, classic PC computer games, all at your fingertips as you grasp Soulja Boy's incredible package.
Ricky Morty. Ricky Morty.
You know, if there's something that every faction of the world, corporations, politicians, the media, and in this case celebrities, fuck up over, it's underestimating gamers. You see, Soulja Boy thought he could just come in and win gamers over by hyping up his new console on Twitter and making a quick buck. But what he failed to realize is that his console was a piece of shit, and something that ultimately offended gamers en masse. Yeah, those hundreds of thousands of millions of quadrillions of games that I mentioned earlier that were available at launch, you know, it's almost as if when something's too good to be true, it usually is. I hate to be that guy, but now there was a guy on Reddit who literally found devices identical to the Soulja game consoles that Soulja Boy was pushing on his Twitter. In other words, Soulja Boy decided to buy a sketchy emulator, slap his name on it, sell it for way higher than they normally list on Alibaba. He didn't actually lead a talented world-class team to develop a console to rival the likes of Microsoft and Sony. He just became lazy.
I got my new video game, you know what I'm saying?
They say that shit counterfeit as fuck too now.
First rapper to come out with his own video game, they're gonna say it's counterfeit.
Look, man, I'll be real with you, because I know for a fact you're gonna watch this video. It's gonna happen. You're just gonna watch it. You can't claim that was your own console. It just was not true. Like, how can your own console, coincidentally, in every fucking way possible, coincidentally, to the bare bones, to the minuscule detail, to the microscopic, to the microscopic level of all of this, how can it look exactly the same as my personal favorite console, the Shenzhen Yangli Ming Pro 4K? And not to mention, you know, the console sucked, man. The way it was advertised to be, you know, okay, I get it, that's an emulator, you know, you can play all your games, you play all your little gizmos and gadgets, but it sucked. The games emulated like crap. There was tons of screen tearing, like, all over the place, and the games legit looked worse than when they released. Like, these were old-ass games, and they looked worse on the Soulja game than they did on the old-ass consoles. That shit was ultimately, scientifically, factually, not in 4K resolution. But if there is one thing that the Soulja game console had in its arsenal, the one game to rule them all, it was Angry Birds 4.
A bunch of weird Angry Birds games that aren't actually real Angry Birds at all. They actually made me appreciate the real Angry Birds more.
Ultimately, the reaction towards this console, if you can even call it that, was as expected. Soulja Boy, though, tried to bob and weave through all the things that people were telling him about how he's going to be sued by Nintendo. He said basically in response to all this that no one understands in the most vague way possible. Later on, however, he would take these consoles off the market. Wow, woohoo, what a surprise. Claiming that it was a self-made executive decision that had to be done. Epic Games, of all people, also dunked on the Soulja game console, responding to Soulja Boy's promise on Twitter, suggesting that Fortnite was going to be on the next Soulja game consoles. God forbid those consoles ever be released. But Epic Games responded by saying, quote, "You can't play Fortnite on a rooted or jailbroken device due to anti-cheat measures." In retrospect, the story of Soulja Boy's epic, awesome business venture is a story about being lazy. It's all it boils down to. As Soulja Boy became a laughingstock following all this, do I feel bad for him? Hell no. I don't think anyone feels bad for him. But who I mostly feel bad for are all the boys and girls across the country, across the world, who asked for a PS4 or whatever, and unfortunately had to receive, probably from their grandparents, the Soulja game console.